Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman.
Let's do a little Super Bowl preview since we're going to talk about it next week. The important points here. I'm interested to see how much medicine they had to put into Debo and how, if these 2 weeks is enough to where he's going to be 100%. He looked fine in this game. I think the great equalizer here, like I just said, is turnovers. And both these teams up to this point have been low turnovers when we're talking about the Niners and the Chiefs. So I think that could play a big role down the stretch if Brock has a young quarterback moment.
A Ravens moment.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think the big X factor for the Niners here is George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big X factor for the Chiefs is whatever the third receiver is, whether it's MVS or Kadarius Toney.
They keep up that Kadarius was hurt.
Whoever it is, whoever that third receiver is, that's the X factor there.
You want to make do you want to do a bet if Tony plays in the Super Bowl, they lose?
No.
You don't, because you feel the same way if Tony plays that they lose?
No. I don't think it matters.
Oh, you don't think it matters? I think it matters.
I don't think it matters.
I think there's a reason they're keeping him on the bench.
Even if he's healthy and he's there, they don't have to play him. They can sit him.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he can suit up for that moment when they've lost 6 guys to an ACL and they got to put someone out on the field.
Maybe it's just like him being in the locker room is what tanks them.
Like Andy can still put him on the field and then in the headset to Patrick Mahomes be like, don't even think about it. Skip that read. Just skip that read.
Skip that read.
Skip that read.
All right. Tony's got the hot route. I want you to skip that one. Go straight to Kelsey.
Yeah.
And then go from Kelsey, go to your third, which is Rashid. And then if Rashid's not there, dump it down to Pacheco.
The other thing I thought was interesting, especially in this Ravens game, that I was kind of surprised about was the amount that they used Pacheco in the pass game. And I know it was only 4 targets and ended up in 14 yards, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's one of the highest target/reception games that Pacheco's had all year.
We'll have to take a look at it, but I definitely think that it is in his high end because they're, like you said before, they're running so many screens.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was a little bit of it was like, we're gonna play normal football the whole year, and then now in the postseason we're gonna go back to what we're good at.
It's like I was saying, it's some sort of basketball strat that they did.
Yeah,
like it feels like they were purposely not using Travis. It's like they were purposely making Travis look like he was washed up and figured out.
It's like they were playing on like expert mode, and like they're too good at expert mode, so they're like, we got to play with a handicap.
What it feels like is, which this is what sucks about being 2 guys in a basement, is that we have no idea of finding out if this is remotely true. But I would love to one day be able to ask like Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes, are you guys so flipping good that you guys just knew you were going to get into the playoffs? You guys didn't care about being the 1 seed. So then you just, like, for the regular season, you guys do all of this crazy stuff, like tanking this person, tanking that person, making yourself look bad because you guys are so good. You guys can know how to turn it on.
I don't think they're trying to make anybody purposely look bad, but I do think that they weren't giving their full effort and they were holding back. And I think the best example, like off the top of my head, was the Broncos game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you think about that game, I think that's exactly what was going on.
Like, did they have certain games to where they're like, let's lose? Or like maybe,
I don't know about lose, but
maybe like obviously he doesn't tell the team that, but like, does he and Patrick and
no, I don't think they went into any of those games like, let's lose this game. I definitely think they went into some of those games like, we're gonna play at 60%, we're gonna play at 70%, and if we win the game, cool. If we don't, then understandable. As long as we win our division, that's what
Okay,
matters.
do you think that Andy Reid just hear me out. Do you think Andy Reid had a strat of looking worse than he did? And how he implemented that strat of looking worse was throwing it to Tony. Do you think, just hear me out, because they threw it to him so many times. He keeps dropping balls. He keeps like literally like interceptions that weren't Patrick Mahomes' fault. Tony found a way to give it to the defense.
I
Do you,
think it was
because
less
now
of that.
he just hasn't played in the postseason.
I think it was less of that, and it was more of the same thing in basketball where you have a guy that you're trying to get going all year, and you play him like you see him in the end of these games and it doesn't make sense for this guy to be in the end of games,
Mhm.
and you're like, why is he here? And he plays terrible all year.
Okay.
And then you get him in the playoffs, and he has that game in game 6 where it turns the series from 3-2. It turns, well, sorry, game 5 where it turns the series from 2-2 to last 5 minutes. We pop this guy in and he pops off for 5 points, 4 rebounds, and it turns the series to where it's now 3-2. It gets more of they were okay losing games, and they were okay in the back of their mind losing games because they knew they'd win the division. So they're like, even if we most likely we're going to end up with at least a opening round home playoff game,
Mhm.
then we might have to go on the road. But if we have to do that, let's at least have all our ducks in a row and our guys to know who we can and can't trust. And so this year was the regular season for them this year was just who can we trust? Trying to
Yeah,
figure that out.
I was about to say, do you think,
Yeah.
because it's Andy Reid, right? As much
Yeah.
as you're going to say no to me, I feel like he had a strat for this season.
I don't think
And
he was trying to make him look bad. I think they
okay,
were
hear me
trying to.
out.
Okay.
The strat was developing Rasheed Rice, developing. He tried to develop Tony, that didn't work. Developing Clyde, right? I
Well, that's
like that.
different than tanking. So
Yeah, yeah, but
if your point is development, sure.
yeah, but I'm trying to think of a strat, and you made a great point. Is like the plays that they called throughout the season was trying to get the most amount of reps, the most amount of experience under some of these younger guys, specifically just Rasheed Rice, because we've seen Rasheed as the season went on, he just got better and better and better. Like maybe that was something that they were trying to do,
Mhm.
is give him
Well,
the most amount
yeah.
of reps that they could.
Well, yeah, they were because I don't think they planned on it being Rushy Rice. They wanted it to be Kadarius Toney. They wanted it to be MVS.
Mm,
Um, but they kept dropping balls. So instead, Patrick ended up finding that connection with Rushy Rice and another guy in where is he? Justin Watson has become a
mm,
huge safety blanket. Like Travis is a big wide receiver. Justin Watson is the tight end. You know what I mean?
yeah.
He's not catching 5 balls like Dalton Schultz. Like he's not a high volume tight end, but he's the guy that Patrick goes to on 3rd and 6 when they need a catch, outside of the numbers, and they just need somebody to, just catch the ball, get out of bounds. They don't throw that ball to Travis. They throw that ball, they throw Travis the ball over the middle to let him make a play. Justin Watson has emerged as one of those guys, and then Rushy Rice has obviously emerged as the other guy. But I think they wanted it to be MVS and Kadarius Toney, but it just didn't happen. And so now they're here and they're going with what they got.
I got a point to make. We're in the danger zone. We we are we had our one game buffer from being in the danger zone. Now we're in it.
What are you
I
talking
think
about?
there is a 99% chance Taylor Swift makes an appearance at the Super Bowl performing a song. And we are
So dumb.
99%
You're so dumb.
so close to being out of what we want to be a job.
You're so
Because if
dumb.
she flip it performs, I mean, how can we not say that like this game that we've been calling these past couple of months it's all scripted. We don't need to be calling it because it's all scripted. It doesn't matter. That's the conclusion that I'm coming to in my head. Is that
you
if
show me how that Brandon Ayuk throw is scripted, and I'll believe you. The other point I'd like to make is everyone with this Super Bowl logo thing that everyone was talking about, like, oh, the two colors are the teams.
I mean, this was before we knew Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift were dating. All right. If they knew that going into it, I think they would have made. Here's what I'm going to say. I don't think they gave two. I can't cuss. Hex. Who else? Who's going to be playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? As long as the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. I'll just make a very quick point. 5 total penalties. Lions versus 49ers. 5 total. Let's look at Chiefs versus Rams. 8 penalties against the Ravens for 95 yards. The Chiefs had 3 penalties for 30 yards. So
take away 15 there because they made a smart play at the end of the game to reset the downs and clock by an intentional offsides, which turned into an unnecessary roughness. So take away 15 there.
From who? Chiefs or
from Ravens?
Ravens. So 15. So 85 yards compared to 30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it's scripted, but you said, tell me the Brandon Ayuk catch was scripted. I don't think that game was scripted, right? It's basically pretty even on penalties. I think this one was. I think they wanted Taylor Swift.
But
then
there's also then there's also there's a fumble and there's 2 fumbles and an interception from the Ravens too.
Yeah, the fumble. Shout out to Snead. That's all I got to say about that fumble.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was nuts.
That was nuts. Snead in this post and lock it down, like punching Tyreek off the line, throwing him to the ground, and then this one. Oh my goodness! Get him a new contract. Give him some more money. He deserves.
And here's to your point that the Ravens won a bunch of statistical categories, whatever, but then 3 turnovers.
Yeah, turnovers were huge.
So yeah, I don't know. I agree. The penalties are there, sure, but 3 turnovers is hard to. No matter who you are, it's hard to overcome. If you told me right now that Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl would throw 2 interceptions and have a fumble, I would go with the Niners. And you gave me the rest of his stat line. If you told me he threw for 300 but had 2 interceptions and a fumble, and he had 2 touchdowns, and he threw for 400, I'd still go with the Niners.
But here's the thing, right? They had those turnovers. They still out-yardaged the Chiefs. That is what I'm saying, right? They still with those setbacks, they still out-yardaged. They still out-yardaged.
Are the Ravens a better team?
And I'm trying to make a point right now.
Are the Ravens?
I'm trying to make a point right now that you are such a woman, bro. I'm trying to make a point about the script, and then I'm talking about how the Baltimore Ravens out-yardaged the Chiefs. And you're like, oh, let's go back to this point that we just argued about 20 minutes ago. Let's go back to that. But I mean, if you look at the stats, let's get into this. Look at the stats. Okay, Kansas City won time of possession. Kansas City won first downs. Kansas City won third downs. Kansas City won total passing. Statistically, they were. The only thing that the Ravens beat them in is total yards. But statistically, Chiefs won more stat categories. That matters. First downs matter. Time of possession matters. Third down matters. Total passes, they matter, right? They won. Statistically, they won.
I mean,
and this was so different than the rest. This was so different from the rest. Like the Chiefs were leading that game. Right? It wasn't these crazy comebacks that we saw Green Bay versus 49ers, right? Like flipping Lions versus 49ers. I know there's another one in there, but can't think of it. You're right. All right. This is not that. This was a very clear game that the Ravens were trying to come back.
Playoff games were involved in MVP voting. Christian McCaffrey would be the MVP.
Ooh,
I love Lamar, and I think he had a great season,
yeah.
but that no team in the NFL was so reliant on a single player and went with his flow more than Christian
Well,
McCaffrey.
as much as we want to say that the postseason isn't involved in voting,
Yeah.
it is, right?
Christian
As much,
McCaffrey is, to me, it was the MVP this
yeah.
year.
There's a reason why they announce it right before the Super Bowl, right? Why wouldn't you announce it before the postseason? Why wouldn't you do that, right? If the postseason doesn't matter, why won't you announce it before the playoffs? Right? It's because the postseason matters. That takes into account their votes, even if they like. I bet you somebody's going to say that they vote before the postseason. Like that. That's a bunch of bull. I'm a script guy, right? I'm a conspiracy guy. I know that they flip and change it. I know they flip and do. You can't tell me that they don't. There's a reason. Do you think they predict the Super Bowl winner every single flipping year? Right? Or they predict
No,
who's going to be the Super Bowl every year? Why do they choose the quarterback that's going to be in the Super Bowl every year
well,
that they think
but
is going to win?
I hear you, but at the same time, Aaron Rodgers won how many MVPs and the guy got booted in the first round of the playoffs? Like, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, like, when there's an undeniable talent, he wins MVP. And I think this year's very close for sure.
What do
But
you think?
if we're going off of your logic, Brock Purdy should be the MVP.
I think he will. I think he will because
I
my
don't.
logic is sound and my logic is right.
I think I think Lamar is the MVP.
$10 bet?
Sure. We can make
Bet.
it 20 if you want.
10. 10.
So you're not that confident,
Don't
huh?
start. No, you've been switching. Why are you switching stuff
You're
up?
not
We
that
go $10
confident.
bets. $10 bets are nice. They're fun.
I just said it. You can go 20 if you want. It's the Super Bowl. It's the playoffs. Whatever. No, that's fine. Um, but yeah, I think Lamar will win the MVP. Christian McCaffrey is my MVP, and by your logic, Brock should be the MVP. So we'll see
Christian McCaffrey's
how
my
it goes.
MVP, but by my logic, Brock wins.
Okay, so we're in both agreements that Christian McCaffrey was the MVP this year, though.
Yep, 100%.
All right.
100%. He's the only guy that we put up on the board because, well, I guess we put him up on the board because they screwed him out of his record, right?
Yeah,
But
which is crazy.
yeah, but he's the only guy up on the board who's actually like a really good player that had something to do with the way that he plays the game of football, right? That was because they didn't allow him to get that record. That's what they did, right? Travis Kelce's only up there because he was dating Taylor Swift, right? The rest, he's the only guy that it was because of the way he played football that he got up there. We wanted to give him a reward because they screwed him out of his flipping record.
Yeah, man, this is an interesting Super Bowl. This is really interesting. I'm torn. I'm leaning, but I'm torn. I'm very interested to see what the Lions open at, and I don't know how far out they will, but I'm very interested to see what the Lions are going to open at.
Yeah, I'm about to. I might pull in some deep stats, some deep stats. How, like what team gives up the most to tight ends, right? Because that could be incredibly
I'm
prevalent.
going straight off. I'm going off feeling with this
Off
one.
feeling.
I'm going 100% off feeling here because it's
Do you
got
want
me.
to?
When
You
I
want to
when I
say it?
statisticed my brain during the regular season, it worked sometimes. But this playoffs, I've gone just grab my balls. What do I feel? And it's worked out much better for me.
We've switched positions, and I'm sad about it. I need to get back to who I was, grabbing my balls, going without it, what I felt. That's what I need to do. But do you want to say it? Because we won't talk about it, but you want to say it? Say it at the end, and then next pod we'll talk about it.
My prediction:
Yeah.
Chiefs by 10.
Oof. I know I just said I need to go back to who I was. Oh man. I have to go back to who I was, but my hatred for what's been going on in Chiefs Nation has been atrocious to me. I can't stand it. I can't stand the flipping close-ups of Taylor Swift, and then like you can see her looking at the jumbotron, and then she sees herself in the jumbotron, and then she does like a little show. Can't stand it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can complain about Taylor Swift all you want, but let's be real here. You're mad because there's a new Tom Brady in town, and your team didn't win a Super Bowl for how many years? And now there's a new guy that's going to be in the Super Bowl every year. Sorry. You can be mad at Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's love story all you want. You can be mad at MVS. You can be mad because Andy Reid. You can be mad because of whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you're mad because he's got more Super Bowls than your franchise has ever even been to.
I will say this. If flipping Patrick Mahomes' wife and Jackson Mahomes weren't in the box with Taylor Swift, wouldn't have a problem with it. I just hate seeing those three in
And
the
look,
box together.
I hate him too, guy. Like, I hate him. He's in my division. I'm a Broncos fan. This is turmoil. Do you understand the turmoil that I went through after watching him win a Super Bowl last year, and they were supposed to be rebuilding, and having it set into my brain that they won a Super Bowl while rebuilding, and then this year they're gonna win a Super Bowl while trying to while not rebuilding, but gaining confidence in their guys this year. Do you know what that makes me feel like, knowing that we did get a win off of them this year, but it doesn't matter and it won't ever matter because we're going to have to go through him if we ever want to see a Super Bowl, let alone make it out of our division? Do you understand? I'm in the same boat.
This is going to be a great conversation for next time. Like what it takes for him to be the next Tom Brady. I think he gets the same amount of chips in a shorter amount of time he is. That's a quick take, but we're going to go into
amount
it next
of
time.
Chips.
Yep. In a short amount of time.
I disagree, but yeah.
Yeah. Next time we'll go into it. That's going to be one of the topics. What pushes Patrick Mahomes over Tom Brady?
Also for everyone out there that's like, the Chiefs aren't a dynasty, lick my nuts. They've been to 6 AFC championships and they've won 2 Super Bowls.
You need to flip and start reading comments. I get like turmoil in my head from reading all these comments about you and about me, right? If you read the flipping comments, you would have so much to say. They were flaming you for your Chiefs take. They were flaming you.
Oh, I don't care, dude.
Yeah, I need you to care. I need you to care. I need you to care so you can come with receipts and then be like, hey, you guys said this. You guys said that. Look at me now.
All right, I'll come with receipts next week.
Yeah, come with flipping receipts next time.
I'll come with receipts.
How are we gonna prove them wrong if we never come with receipts?
I'm coming with names and I'm talking to people directly. But
I'm coming 2 names.
Crazy. Next show we're gonna be talking about the Commanders' future for this draft and the coming years. We're gonna talk about some of the news on the draft front of what the top 10, specifically the number 1 pick, looks like. And I'm going to throw some shade at more terrible Broncos takes that I've seen.
And we're going to scientifically figure out how many beers you can drink within a football game, and then we're going to break that record.
All right. For whatever reason you want to see more of us, you can catch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at buffet.sports. We post every day, if not twice a day. I'm Devin. That's Zane. Or that's Zane. I don't know which way to point anymore.